Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, reaching into your wallet, and finding out that the physical cash inside is suddenly illegal to own. And if you don't hand it over to the government immediately, you could face 10 years in federal prison. Welcome to Global Lens. I'm Presenter 1, and with Presenter 2, we're examining a historical reality from 1933, the year the United States government outlawed the private ownership of physical gold. We have to look at the macroeconomic crisis of the 1930s. The Great Depression was at peak. 15 million Americans were out of work, and thousands of banks had failed as terrified citizens rushed to withdraw deposits all at once. The United States economy was trapped by the gold standard. The government needed to print money to stimulate the failing economy, but the law required every dollar to be backed by physical metal. As long as citizens hoarded gold coins at home, the state was legally blocked from expanding the money supply. With the banking system hours away from a total collapse, the state decided to save the system by forcibly ending the public's right to hold the very asset that anchored it. On April 5, 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 6102. The decree gave ordinary citizens exactly 26 days to surrender their private gold coins, gold bullion, and gold certificates to the federal government. There was zero room for negotiation. Refusing to comply meant a $10,000 fine, equivalent to hundreds of thousands of dollars today, along with up to a decade in federal prison. The financial impact was immediate. The government forced citizens to sell their gold at a fixed price of $20.67 an ounce. 9 months later, the Gold Reserve Act officially revalued gold to $35 an ounce, instantly stripping compliant citizens of a massive portion of their real purchasing power. By forcing a low-price sale, followed by an immediate state revaluation, the decree functioned as a mandatory wealth transfer from private households to the federal balance sheet. The standard historical narrative is a story of national sacrifice. It suggests that Americans recognized the emergency and dutifully lined up at banks to hand over their wealth to save the republic. But forensic economic data tells a different story. Economists like Milton Friedman analyzed the actual amount of gold in circulation before the order compared to what the government eventually received. This chart illustrates a massive statistical anomaly. Between 75% and 80% of privately held gold was never turned in. 4 out of every 5 ounces simply disappeared from the government's radar. This raises an investigative question. How did millions of ordinary citizens successfully outsmart a federal mandate backed by catastrophic legal penalties? Citizens utilized the specific language of the law. The first loophole was a $100 personal exemption. Families legally bypassed the law's intent by mathematically dividing their gold among household members, including children, to multiply their legal limit. The second method was the numismatic exemption. The law protected coins with special value to collectors, but failed to define what actually made a coin rare. This allowed nearly anyone to declare themselves a collector to shield their assets from seizure. For the wealthy, the solution was capital flight. Because the order only applied within U.S. territory, investors shipped large quantities of gold to European safe havens like Switzerland and France before the deadline struck. The most effective method was absolute silence. Ordinary people buried their gold in the yard or hid it in floorboards, effectively removing the wealth from the transactional economy where it could be tracked. The federal mandate functioned as a porous net. It captured the wealth of those who voluntarily engaged with the banking system, while missing the millions who quietly stepped outside the rules. While the public posters were intimidating, the federal government did not conduct mass door-to-door raids on private homes. The actual prosecution record shows the threat was largely a bluff. Nationwide, only one major direct prosecution occurred under Executive Order 6102, a lawyer named Frederick Campbell. Campbell was targeted because he attempted to withdraw 5,000 ounces of gold bullion that was already stored inside a formal bank vault. The bank refused his request and alerted federal authorities. Campbell was caught because he tried to move assets through the visible, regulated financial grid. Meanwhile, millions of citizens who kept gold hidden at home remained invisible to the state. The 1933 confiscation demonstrates that the government's power relied on freezing and seizing the physical assets already trapped within the formal financial institutions they controlled. This history reveals a timeless macroeconomic rule. A government can only successfully control the wealth that it can visually track within its own administrative system. A literal repeat of a physical gold confiscation is unlikely today, as modern currencies are no longer strictly anchored to physical metal. However, the visibility trap is tighter today. Modern governments use automated tax structures, constant digital financial reporting, and strict capital controls to achieve oversight without the need for physical seizures. True financial control does not require physical force. It depends on the degree to which an individual's wealth is integrated into the observable grid. What would you have done in 1933? Handed over your gold or hidden it? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe to Global Lens to continue decoding the hidden mechanics of economic history.